All right, so first play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everybody? Or what's going on, Patriots CLNS members? Because this is a members exclusive live show here, 2 p.m. Eastern time here on the CLNS Media Network for the Patriots Daily Podcast. I'm Mike Kadlick. He's Taylor Kyles, and we are going to break down what Drake Maye did so well in the Patriots' 33-27 win over the Miami Dolphins. Now, I timestamped it because, like I said, this is a members-only live stream. So if you are a member, you are allowed in the chat, and you can ask questions. You can talk about Maye's performance. If you have any questions, we'll try and answer them here. And then this will debut and release later in full on the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel. So excited to bring this to our members first, and then obviously put it up after the fact as we break down 5 Drake Maye plays from Sunday's win over Miami. Now, Mike Vrabel said it yesterday when he was asked about Drake Maye. He was hugely efficient. He said he was decisive. He kept his eyes downfield. And as we know and we talked about in yesterday's full scope show, Taylor, he commanded the offense. He looked comfortable. He didn't look like there was too much on his plate. And really, as you predicted, and then as we talked about in the coming days, this was Drake Maye's best, if not his best game, one of his best games as a professional. So before we dive into the tape and look at these 5 plays, overall, what did you see from Maye and what excites you for him moving forward?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it last night when we did our little Drake Maye recap, but the biggest things are I liked the decisiveness. I liked how Josh McDaniels leaned more into his mobility. We saw some with designed runs last week, but this week we saw more moving pockets, which is something we'll get to. Drake being smart about when he decided to run. It seemed like Mike Vrabel and the coaches were pretty happy about how he protected himself last week. Maybe I made too much of that, but this is the franchise quarterback who we already saw get a concussion, almost get 2 last year. So I am a little bit panicky when it comes to him getting contacted, but I'll grow into that as he gets older and, learns how to do these things and protect himself. I'll definitely be a little less critical there, but was very good in that area. And also just the accuracy. There were only 3 throws where I was kind of confused as to why exactly he missed. But some of the Stephon Diggs one where maybe that was miscommunication, the Matt Collins play that just felt off in general. So for the most part, accurate. Played like a veteran quarterback, reminded me of Tom at times where he was more than happy to just go short in very long yardage situations and take advantage of his talented running backs, specifically Rhamondre Stevenson, saying, hey, set us up for a better opportunity in 3rd down. And as I got closer to the midfield, okay, set us up for opportunities to even try to get a manageable 4th down. So unfortunately, I did not have any of the checkdowns or anything like that in this film breakdown. This is more centered around the 5 plays where I thought he really showed not just obviously the talent to make big plays, but also just intelligence and maturation as a passer.
100%. And you said it there where, it's kind of honing in on a couple things. So what we're going to do is look at Drake Maye's decisiveness in this game and also his mobility and able to make plays in that aspect. I also see in the chat, Courtney says, any chance we'll do live stream of your film review sessions? This is live, baby. This is live for you because you are a Patriots Press Pass member. So we are live doing this right now for you guys. So again, we're here, Courtney. We appreciate the comment and the support. If you have any questions as we go through, we'll get to it and we'll answer your questions. But let's start off with that decisiveness, Taylor, and we'll start off with play number 1 here. It is Drake Maye's touchdown to Kayshon Boutte in the red zone. Now, it put they were up 6-0. This put them up 12-0 in the game. And he looked to look off that safety, gives Kayshon Boutte a chance. He comes down, as we know, with the one-handed touchdown grab. Boutte was awesome in week 1. That was his only catch in this game. But he saw it, he ripped it, and he makes the play. What did you see from it in more detail, and what can you tell us about this play?
Yeah, so we're going to start, obviously, at the beginning of the play, a little quick rewind. So, first of all, you get Drake Maye and Rhamondre Stevenson calling out the mic. What you see from Rhamondre Stevenson here when he's pointing to 2 guys is him essentially saying he's got a dual read in protection. So, he can either take the middle linebacker if he comes first, or he can take the defender kind of creeping down this safety right here if he ends up blitzing. But the way they sort out the protection, you're going to get Rhamondre on the back. They do a good job with the protection and making sure Drake has time to throw. But what I like even more about this is the fact that the pass protection almost doesn't play a factor because of how quickly Drake Maye lets this ball go. So first of all, the pre-snap presentation, we've got Hunter Henry obviously at the top of the screen by himself. And the way this looks, especially with Stephon Diggs in the slot with this safety all the way back here, Pre-snap, you might think, okay, there's a chance that this is some kind of zone coverage because you don't have a cornerback kind of close up on Stephon Diggs. What it actually is cover zero. So we've heard Drake Maye talk about needing answers against the blitz. This was a very impressive rep from him of understanding the situation, knowing he had to get the ball out quickly and doing so. So here we're going to get man coverage across the board with a blitz, in fact, from this linebacker and from this down safety. The pass protection and all these guys are going to adjust and pick up what's known as the mic. And then Rhamondre Stevenson is going to make sure he keeps the quarterback clean by taking this safety. Now, the Patriots, to try to beat this man coverage, well, we're also actually going to get a bit of a bracket here from the safety and Matthew Judon. So he's going to drop, and essentially they're going to try to take away Stephon Diggs. But Drake Maye is going to be looking down, as we know, to Kayshon Boutte on the go ball against Jack Jones. Really physical route from him. You also have another potential man beater here with Demario Douglas running, kind of closing this ground and running a vertical himself. Backside, you get Hunter Henry on the dig, but you're pretty rarely going to throw that, especially when you don't have time. But Drake Maye, once again, knows that he's got a good matchup on the outside with a physical guy in Kayshon Boutte versus more of an undersized or at least more thin, kind of wiry corner in Jack Jones. So let's get this ball snapped. Drake Maye, quick drop back, hits the top, sees that his man is even with the defender, and he trusts his guys. So when he's even, he's leaving. Drake puts it up for Kayshon Boutte, who continues to fight through the route. Physical coverage from Jack Jones. Maybe slight interference, you can decide there. But then Kayshon Boutte to track this and haul it in with one hand. I'm going to get a replay from the other angle as well because this was a crazy grab from him. So Drake Maye quick. The rush doesn't even play a factor here. He's got the ball out already. And then Kayshon Boutte. He's got one arm pinned by Jack Jones. So to track this ball, get that one hand out there and secure this grab, not let it bounce, and actually make sure that there's no chance of the official saying that this bobbled on the ground or anything like Mike Vrabel tried to challenge later in the game. Really good completion there from Kayshon Boutte. And another great example of the chemistry that those two are building.
It is. It's that chemistry they have. And we've talked about Drake having this trust factor, Boutte, right? See here. He sees him. He goes. He trusts him in that coverage. He trusts him one-on-one, and he lets it rip. And now this isn't necessarily a gotta-have-it situation, but he trusts him in these, okay, goal line, one-on-one. I know Kayshon's going to go get that ball. Even with Jones on his back hip, puts it out there. He gives him the one-handed catch. It was a perfect throw, perfect play. And it's one of those ones where he put it where only he can get it, and still Kayshon's pinned back, but he has that ability to put the one hand out and snag it. So awesome stuff there. It was his only catch of the day. But still a good look there from Maye to Kayshon Boutte. And again, you talk about that decisiveness. Like you said, you see that once he IDs the man coverage, he knows that that's my guy on Jack Jones. Doesn't hesitate. Make sure that safety isn't moving. He's obviously ends up being one up and kind of plays on Stephon Diggs in the slot. Give him the shot. Touchdown. Easy money. Next one here on decisiveness from Drake Maye is, I just mentioned in the intro that people think this was Drake Maye's best game of his career. People are saying this is also Drake Maye's best play of his career, his best throw of his career. Finds Rhamondre Stevenson with a 55-yard gain here. Let me throw it up there just so we have it. 55-yard gain from Drake Maye to Rhamondre Stevenson. Hits him in stride, and then Rhamondre makes a couple defenders miss. We thought he was going to get all the way to the end zone here, Taylor. I've mentioned that a couple times since the game, but unfortunately loses a little bit of speed. But he steps up in the pocket, hits Rhamondre, makes the nasty catch over his shoulder, ends up cutting inside, makes a couple guys miss, and then ends up going down. And this ends up setting up another score for the Patriots. So take us through it. What'd you see, and how was this play successful?
Yeah, so Rhamondre makes a lot of people look bad on this play. So the first we're going to get Demario Douglas going from the right side of the field to the left, helping as a bit of a potential man coverage indicator. Drake Maye likes what he sees, gets that indicator, and you're going to see him tap both sides of his helmet. That is him basically making a check so everyone knows that they are going to a man-beating concept. You see everybody else taps their helmet to show we know what you're talking about. And he's right. The Dolphins are in a cover one, specifically cover one robber, where you're going to get this safety who's opposite the three receiver side, dropping down to rob anything over the middle. So if Hunter Henry or Demario Douglas tries to run some type of crossing route, the safety is going to be able to get down on that and take the read away, help his pass rush potentially get to Drake Maye. Then you're going to get this safety dropping into a deep middle zone. Now, the Patriots, they are running a very aggressive verticals concept here. We saw a few of these. Like Josh McDaniels is calling plays that suit his quarterback This wasn't a dinky-dunky game plan, although obviously we know that Drake Maye did a better job of throwing short. There were some shot plays where they wanted to give Drake Maye an opportunity to get vertical. So here, you're going to get the vertical. On the other side of the field for Mac Hollins, Demario Douglas running a crossing route. Hunter Henry is going to stand to block because this is a longer developing play. Then you're going to get Kayshon Boutte running a vertical, but he's going to break inside because Rhamondre Stevenson is going to get out of the backfield. Once he gets on the linebacker's hips, who's got him in coverage, he's going to take off and win deep. Again, this was actually a play that apparently in practice went to Travion Henderson, but it just shows the depth they have in the backfield because all three of these guys can run the same route and have a similar impact. But on this one, obviously a great job from Rhamondre Stevenson. So let's get the play rolling. Now, Drake Maye takes a snap. Now we're going to get Rhamondre coming out of the backfield. But Drake Maye, as soon as he hits the top of his drop, is immediately pressured. One of Morgan Moses' only really bad reps of the game. Jalen Phillips hits him with a ghost move and gets pretty much a free shot at Drake Maye. But incredible job here from the quarterback, making him miss, inching up, hitching into the pocket. And then once again, you see Rhamondre is even, just like Kayshon Boutte. If he's even, he's leaving. Drake Maye lets this go deep. And Rhamondre gets even more separation once he's actually gotten on the linebacker's toes.
You can see him get a little get up there once he sees the ball in the air.
100%. And then to track this too, for a running back to get this rainbow, outstretched arms to I was honestly a little bit worried because, again, you don't really see running backs having to make this kind of catch often, but great job tracking it, securing it. And then he makes guys look even worse. Causes friendly collision, jukes another guy, gets him turned around, and there's one more defender that has a chance to bring Rhamondre down in this area. Rhamondre shakes him loose, says, "Get off me, little boy." And then, of course, he runs out of steam there at the end. But another really impressive rep for Rhamondre. Going to get the replay from the end zone because we got to get Drake Maye and his work in the pocket here. Make Jalen miss, inch, let that ball go. Dime, Rhamondre catches it. Little juke, friendly fire once again, juking another defender, shoving off a potential tackler, and then eventually he does get tired and he's down. But really, really good play there from the quarterback and from the running back. Just this is what you want to see more often. The Patriots may not have the typical vertical threats, but we saw all summer they want to get the ball to their running backs out of the backfield, even their tight ends. So the backfield is not safe. Just because somebody's behind the line of scrimmage does not mean they are not a threat to go deep and potentially take the top off your defense.
The catch again by Rhamondre, I keep saying it. I said it during the game. I said it post game. I'll say it again here. Like, yeah, he's shown his skills as a receiving back. But again, for him to just see the ball, get on the get up, and then outstretch his arms like that, that's the shit you see a guy like Devon Achane make, or even Christian McCaffrey, who is basically a wide receiver in a running back's body. But for Rhamondre to come down with that, show his receiving ability, awesome stuff. And again, a great play by Maye where instant pressure, steps up, doesn't give up, doesn't try and break the pocket, knows, keeps his eyes downfield, finds Rhamondre, who makes the big gainer for 55 yards. So again, a really great play there from Drake Maye, an outstanding play from Rhamondre Stevenson. And I just said it, but again, that ability to keep his eyes downfield, not give up on the play in its entirety, and keep the offense going and moving and set them up for another score was one of the many things that made this one of Drake Maye's best games of his career. Courtney says in the chat, they must have noticed the Dolphins linebackers in coverage are flat-footed. Taylor, what'd you see there?
And that's tough because if you're a linebacker in that situation, you're expecting something more like an option route. And that's so tough because these Patriots running backs, they do run their short routes out of the backfield as well. And we know James White was obviously known for those. So when they get you thinking, okay, I've got to think left or right, they say, no, this is 3D chess, baby. I'm going vertical and I'm taking the top off. So, yeah, linebackers typically play flat-footed because that's just not an area where a lot of them are very comfortable. So a great job by the Patriots. Kind of like last week, we were saying, why didn't they exploit some of these matchups? The Dolphins decided to play more man coverage than we saw the Raiders play, and the Patriots and Josh McDaniels and his players made them pay.
100%. All right, a couple more clips here for you on Drake Maye's mobility and how he utilized that against the Dolphins this weekend. But before we do, I know this is a members show, and we're not doing long ad reads, but I do just want to quickly tell you guys about our friends over at Prize Picks. As you guys know, it's the best daily fantasy sports market in the U.S., and if you use the code CLNS, you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Went 1-1 in those picks last night, Taylor. The first one hit. Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud made it rain in the first. Well, they didn't really make it rain in the first game, but they did early and hit before halftime. Unfortunately, Ladd McConkey did not get his receiving yards like I wanted in that one. But on that note, we are also powered by our friends over at Game Time. If you want to get to the game this weekend at Gillette Stadium, use code CLNS. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Right now, tickets are low on the Game Time app for Steelers at Patriots. And, there we go. Tickets are, what do we got? As little as $180 right now on the Game Time app. And those, get in on the action right now. Get in on the price right now. You get $20 off that first purchase. You're looking at $160. But if you wait until closer to game time, those ticket prices will drop even more. So again, if you want to be there, use our code CLNS. Helps you out, helps us out as well. All right, Taylor, we have Drake Maye's mobility now, which was on full display as well. And the first one we're going to talk about is that first quarter throw to Austin Hooper off the play action. It was that leak concept, which found him basically wide open along the left sideline here. Have it on screen now. Let me just pull this down. So he moves him there, obviously, as you see on screen, puts Henry in motion, play action. Hooper leaks out. Drake hits him a little high, which forced him to fall, but an explosive play nonetheless. So what'd you see from it? And would you fix it? Was the throw not there? Because although it was a great play, a great concept, great execution, hit him in the chest, like Liam Cohen said to Trevor Lawrence in the game on Sunday, hit him in the chest, you might have a touchdown.
Yeah, so, and the reason I have this in the mobility category, it's not because Drake Maye runs, but it's the fact that Josh McDaniels is able to manipulate the defense, have them going in different directions, and then use that deceitfulness to actually really hurt them for what should have been an absolute nail in the coffin on this drive. But so first of all, we're going to get two shifts. First, we're going to get Jack Westover, who's acting as the fullback, and this is 13 personnel. So tough defense for any opponent to match because you don't see a whole lot of 3 tight end sets in the modern NFL. Of course, Jack Westover is technically a fullback. I kind of wonder how exactly defenses designate him, whether they think he's a fullback or whether they're like, this is a tight end that they're trying to pass off as one. But either way, Westover is going to go from the fullback position and move up to the line of scrimmage. Then we're going to get Hunter Henry, who is a tight end, acting more as a Z receiver here. He's going to come in motion and get closer to the formation so that he can create an edge for Drake Maye when he resets on this fake boot. So Jack Westover moves up to the line. Then we're going to get that reduced short motion from Hunter Henry. Now, the coverage on the back end, because this is a 3 tight end set, you're probably going to get really basic coverages when you come out in these heavier looks. And that's what you get. The Dolphins are in a pretty standard cover 3 look. Nothing too crazy here. We're just going to get Matthew Judon in this 5-man front. He's going to be the one who actually breaks off into coverage. Although, because of the play fake, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Like, he's pretty much completely nullified by this. Also, might want to keep an eye on this linebacker right here because he gets turned around multiple times by the run action and fake. Now, the Patriots, for their part, are going to fake outside zone to the left to Antonio Gibson. Drake Maye is going to go that direction, and then he's going to pretend like he's booting out to the opposite side, but he's actually going to reset. Now, typically, when you see these outside zone fakes, you think of the bootleg, right? Quarterback's going one way, then he's going to roll out the other and has the option to use his legs. But when you use bootlegs, it's almost impossible for the quarterback to actually access the whole field, even for these freaky quarterbacks with big arms, because he's moving and you're cutting the field in half. Everything's flowing in one direction. When you use these kinds of bootlegs where you reset the pocket, which is difficult because it's harder for the defense to know where the quarterback's going to be, but you move the pocket and you let him set up so that he is able to take these deep shots downfield rather than it more being an option of either hitting a slide or some type of underneath route and then maybe like a corner or something that's more intermediate than it is deep. So we're going to get Jack Westover clearing out the middle of the field. Kyle Williams, I believe this was his first snap of the game or one of his first snaps of the game, is going to essentially run a clear out here. We've seen a lot of, also I wanted to note, a lot of post wheel patterns for the Patriots. They're kind of in different variations, but you'll see it from tight ends in the backfield or running backs in the backfield. You'll see it from receivers. I like the variation in the ways that they're able to attack defenses vertically, specifically ways of hitting the sidelines, which we talked about in our preview was a potential area of weakness for this Dolphins defense. So you're going to get most of the play going left first. Then the primary receivers are going to be flowing right. Then Austin Hooper is going to sneak underneath right here. Like, oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going on a little shallow cross. So you don't have to worry about me. What he's actually going to do is take off vertical while everyone else is trying to recover from the outside zone fake and get to the other side of the field. So we're going to run this with some slow motion. Drake Maye fakes the handoff and then looks like he's about to boot this way. So everyone on the defense is flowing that way, right? Yep. And then look at little Austin Hooper sliding underneath right there. We see you, buddy. We know where you're actually at. Now, Hunter Henry, the Patriots gave him some tough blocking assignments in this game. He was having to block legit edge defenders. Obviously gave up a sack early. Does a better job here, but there is still some pressure on Drake Maye. But he knows he's got plenty of green grass for Austin Hooper to catch this ball. Lets it go, even though the pressure does kind of make a little bit of contact at the end. Obviously, you'd like for Austin Hooper not to have to jump because if he catches this in stride, this safety is the only person with a shot at stopping him. But good job by Austin Hooper to high point it. And I got to say, this is the second time that, and I think it just reminded me of this because of the game last year where Drake hit him on the rollout to the same part of the field.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the second time where I've seen him catch one of these deep balls, have to go up, and he just looks like he's a little shaken up when he goes down.
Yeah.
He's 30 years old, so maybe don't force him to have to make these kinds of plays too often. Hit him in stride when you can, but still, really good play design by Josh McDaniels. And once again, I want to roll it again so we can specifically look at this linebacker and what the play does to him. Goes left. Oh, no, he's panicking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, now Austin Hooper is open right behind me. So the fact that you have to respect Drake Maye's legs, and we know not only did he have 3 bootlegs, he both threw and actually scrambled off those plays. This is the kind of thing that you use to really take advantage of that skill set and put defenses in a bind.
Yeah, that's perfect execution. Again, aside from the throw, you'd liked him to put it on, but two, I didn't really, not that I didn't notice it, but when you look at it again here, right, you see him roll right and kind of into that pressure because he has to stop his rollout to the right. If he was staying right, he would have just cut inside or outside that pressure, but he kind of has to stop on a dime quickly and get it out there. So he still gives him a chance. And it's also Austin Hooper, right? Like, to me, I'm like, oh, maybe just run under the football and go get it. But you're working with a tight end. You're not necessarily working with a super athletic wide receiver. So he's able to make the play, like you said, high points it, gets down, gets the gain, secures it, and sets them up inside the red zone. So again, an awesome play, awesome concept, and
very Shanahan-ian, honestly. It's
yeah,
like, especially leak, and that's the route that Austin Hooper is running, where literally you just kind of leak off the line because they think you're either blocking or just going short. And then you pop up field. It's a really hard concept to defend, and I'm pretty sure we've seen it 2 weeks in a row from the Patriots, which would be pretty exciting.
He did a really good job selling it too, because he looks like he's just down blocking somebody, even though he's in the middle of the formation, and then just kind of swipes him. So he doesn't give off the obvious concept of running the shallow cross. He kind of gets into the mud in the blocking range there. So good stuff all around, and they make the exploit there too.
Let's see.
Courtney wants to come to a game to bother us and Amit. Courtney asked, does the line sliding always indicate zone blocking concepts?
In that way, yes, because if they are fully working horizontally, that is zone. But because if you're going downhill in a gap concept, the point is to work vertically because you want to create displacement that way. So yeah, if you ever see them going just completely one direction like that, it's pretty much always outside zone.
Cool. All right, another one here on the Drake Maye mobility aspect. It is Drake Maye's first quarter scramble for a 13-yard gain on third down. I just want to get it up here. There we go. So we have again, first down, 13-yard gainer. We'll play it through once, then we'll have Taylor break it down. But as you see, Maye drops back, tries to look downfield a little bit, but finally bails. Moves to the left, gets the first down, and then tries to get a little extra. Doesn't protect himself like maybe we would hope for. We'll look at it at the other angle. That was my only gripe here, but good for the guy. Good for the mobile quarterback, rather, to go get the first down. But Taylor, what did you see from the entire play on this Drake Maye first down run?
Yep, so first we're going to get a shift across formation from Hunter Henry. No one follows him, which is a potential zone indicator, and it turns out it is a zone indicator, but not just any zone. So obviously the Dolphins initially are showing just a single high look. Then you see that guy start to bail because they're actually playing cover 2 zone, but with a couple slight variations. So one, this corner at the bottom of the screen, instead of just playing a hard flat, he actually is going to chase Stephon Diggs across the field. That's what's going to partially create this huge lane that you end up seeing. And you're also going to get a creeper pressure. A creeper pressure is when you only send 4 rushers, but that 4th rusher, or sometimes a 3rd or 4th, but in this case, it is the 4th, is going to be an atypical rusher, whether that's a cornerback, a safety, or a linebacker. In this case, it's going to be this defensive back who's overhanging over Hunter Henry. And then the opposite side, you're going to get Bradley Chubb dropping into zone, and you're going to see why this actually is a pretty good play and how it impacts the Patriots, because the Patriots actually have 5 in protection. You're going to see in their route concept, Rhamondre has no route because he's going to stay in the block, but that's 6 pass blockers for only 4 rushers. So technically the Dolphins win here. And also the fact that Bradley Chubb drops is going to affect Drake Maye's read, because Austin Hooper is part of a double slants concept here. So you're going to get one from Stephon Diggs outside, and then another quick hitter to Austin Hooper. Now, Hooper actually caught a couple of quick out routes or sticks on one drive. Like, they were literally back-to-back. So here we're actually going to get the defense taking away that quick option to Austin Hooper. And then to the top of the screen, you're going to have a go route from Kayshon Boutte and an out from Hunter Henry, the kind of route you typically see from Demario Douglas in this kind of package, where sometimes it would be Hunter Henry as the tight end and then Pop as a slot. But here you got a 12 personnel set that looks more like a spread formation. But when you have cover 2, you don't always love this go out combination, because if the underneath cornerback plays it well, he can sometimes trap that out. And if the safety is doing his job, he should be taking away the go. So it makes it very hard for Drake Maye to actually get a good read and have an ideal matchup on this play, as we're going to see once I actually get it rolling. So Drake Maye is going to get the snap. It's a quick throw, so it's not like an elongated drop. He's literally getting it and then setting. Before he's even reset, or before he's reached the top of his drop, rather, he already sees Bradley Chubb is not only covering, but is actually making contact with Austin Hooper. So he very quickly, once he does get to the top, actually looks over to the right side of the field, very astutely saying, okay, is there anything good here? What's the coverage look like? Not a good window here either. Now, Hunter Henry is trying to make contact at the top of the route so that he can basically push off and create separation. But like I said, this cornerback is trapping that out route, something that Drake Maye even mentioned last week. He's very familiar of these type of trap coverages, because the Patriots run a lot of go outs. But what we saw with Mac Jones, especially his first year under Josh McDaniels, I think he got picked off 2 times, maybe more. And there were some other close calls, because he would always throw that sticker and out route, and then cornerbacks would see it coming, pretend they were going upfield, and then go and intercept him. So they're taking away the out, and then you could say, all right, maybe he can squeeze this into Kayshon Boutte, but the safety has eyes on him and is heading to the sideline. It's just not really a great read for the quarterback here. And again, even if you want to look down here, Austin Hooper is trying to adjust, but he's not open right now. And the only option he might have is Stephon Diggs underneath. But even here, you've got this defender with Bradley Chubb. If he drops down, then there's really nowhere to go. But as I said, because this defender is chasing Stephon Diggs, there's all this room in the flat. And you're going to see Drake Maye, whether or not he realizes the cornerback is chasing or not, when he feels pressure up the middle, which we'll break down after this, he's going to say, you know what, let me just get a positive gain here on 3rd down, try to move it myself. Does exactly that, takes advantage of all that space to the outside, also uses his speed.
Slide.
Slide, but hey, I'm not too mad at this, because not a whole lot of chance he takes a big hit there.
Right.
And again, I'm going to give him a little more leeway, because the coaches weren't upset about it. And then Bradley Chubb, obviously, no match for Drake Maye in open space, 3rd down, and even more. Good play by the quarterback. Now, if you look at the end zone angle and why exactly that pressure got in the middle, I actually like this play because it's chaotic, but there's also a beautiful element to it. Because offensive line play, the reality is
beautifully chaotic.
Yeah, it's not always pretty, but at the end of the day, you just need to make sure that your quarterback is not getting contacted. And that is exactly what the interior of the offensive line specifically does against this pressure from the Dolphins. Now, what we're going to see here is this penetration. Oh, man, I thought I had a breakdown of this. Oh, whatever. That's okay. So what we're going to see here is this defensive back is going to blitz off the slot. Rhamondre Stevenson is going to pick it up. That's going to keep Drake Maye from being able to scramble this way. And then we're going to get a twist where Zach Sealer is going to crash inside and Jalen Phillips is going to loop around. Now, Mike Nwenu does a really good job, first of all, of noticing that something's coming around him and not overcommitting. But what I also love is look at this side, because as I said, Bradley Chubb is dropping, but this defensive tackle, or might be Emmanuel Ogba. I don't actually know who that is.
I can't
But
tell.
91, the defensive tackle, he's really just trying to get outside and do what he can to help Drake Maye from getting out. So there's only one rusher to the left side of the offensive line. Garrett Bradbury and Jared Wilson are sliding that way. But look how quickly they
look at their heads go
at the exact same time. That's a center playing next to a center, baby. Where Jared Wilson, I've mentioned it, he seems more and more comfortable each week. This is a great example because he notices, okay, I have no threat. He and Garrett Bradbury are saying, if there's one threat over where we're sliding, that probably means something else is coming this way. That's exactly what happens. Now, Garrett Bradbury, with his depth, isn't really in a great position to help Mike Onwenu, right? So instead of trying to force this and maybe throwing himself or creating kind of an awkward protection situation, he's going to pass this off, let Jared Wilson pick it up. So then, yes, there is internal pressure that Drake Maye has to adjust to because this is a tough block, right? Mike Onwenu is in solid position to redirect, but Drake Maye is going to have to slide. Jared Wilson makes sure that he helps out to kind of continue navigating the rush away from the quarterback. Garrett Bradbury keeps looking for work, then creates a seal with Morgan Moses. Oof. And look at that.
That's awesome.
Creates the lane for Drake Maye to get outside the pocket. Also a nice job from Rhamondre, obviously, against the defensive back. There was no shot there. You also got Will Campbell forcing this guy all the way around the arc. That's bad discipline from him because, again, bro, your job is to stop about here so that you maybe retrace inside to keep Drake Maye from scrambling.
Right.
But that's not what happened. So he's all the way upfield. Again, the interior does a great job creating a seal. Drake Maye takes advantage for the explosive gain on the ground.
It's a great
well, there it was. I did well, this is the first time we're doing it like this. I hope aesthetically it looks better, but I fudged up a little bit. But if you want to see it, here it is.
Yeah, it's a good
real quick. I'll do it real quick. So This is, again, what it looks like. Got Bradley Chubb dropping around here. I want to show the protection plan, though, because I did work on this. So you're going to get a slide to the left side, which is understandable because Drake Maye has 20 identified as the Mike linebacker, right? So they're saying, okay, we're going to slide to these two down linemen, and then we're also, if this linebacker blitzes, then Garrett Bradbury has him. Then you have man to the backside, and it's a tough angle for Mike Onwenu, first of all, but they trust him to be able to make this block with, again, Rhamondre Stevenson taking the blitzer. And I think he also has a dual read here where if 25 were to come, he would have blocked the inside and just let that slot corner come, and then Drake Maye would have had to adjust. I'm not positive. That's just a guess. But then we see how it plays out. They get the twist to the man side, which is what you want. Then Garrett Bradbury and Jared Wilson both noticing at the same time. Garrett Bradbury noticing he can't help at that level, so instead Jared Wilson does it. Garrett Bradbury helping create his own seal. Then Drake Maye's gone.
And it's a good read for Maye understanding what those guys in front of him are trying to do too, right? Because he could have went for a number of different, holes in the protection there, but he kind of, whether he sees it or not, feels it around him that, okay, Bradbury's going to the next guy. I can get around Jared Wilson this way, up the middle there, instead of trying to go through a different pocket, trying to get around it. He breaks first down. Again, I'm going to say it again, Taylor. I don't care. I would have slid if I was him once I got the first down, just to keep yourself a little bit safer. But we talked about last week the awareness. It's not like he was running towards the sideline against a guy in Max Crosby, right? He's going against a defensive back here. He gets himself shoved out of the bounds, and that's okay. So it's a good play by Drake Maye. It's good to have a truly mobile quarterback like that on this offense to be able to make something out of relative nothing there and get the first down. And speaking of those legs that Drake Maye has, one final play here for us to break down. It is Drake Maye's rushing touchdown, third quarter, his third score of the day, 2 through the air, obviously, as we know, in the first quarter, and then Maye finds pay dirt in the third quarter here. We'll watch it one time through before I hand it to Taylor, but you see the alert from the guys out there. He gets pressure, runs it out. Matthew Judon can't catch him, and he scampers in the end zone for a touchdown. No celebration from Drake Maye. As you know, he's all business, but he was still excited as he helped the Patriots get a win. So what do you see on the play, Taylor? How did Drake Maye find the end zone on the ground?
Yeah, so this is another vertical concept out of the backfield from a running back here that we're going to see again.
Yep.
But I'll start at the top of the play. So we get another formation with the tight end isolated. This one's very important because in this man coverage, you actually end up getting a full linebacker over Austin Hooper, who not a lot of defenses are probably going to respect as a receiving threat, even if they should at times. So they end up just putting a linebacker on him. That's the man coverage identifier that Drake Maye needs. So what we're going to see next is Drake Maye tapping his helmet, everyone else tapping their helmet as well, because they're checking into a man-beating play. Now that play, first of all, the Dolphins are in man coverage across the board. Again, it's going to be 0 from them. But we're actually going to end up getting a bit of a bracket on Hunter Henry from the safety, for both of these safeties, actually. And yes, we do have Matthew Judon. I'm going to get into that in a second because David Andrews actually helped provide some very important context to this play. But again, man coverage across the board, essentially a bracket on Hunter Henry. What the Patriots are going to run is what's known as a levels concept to the 3 receiver side. So you're going to get 2 short in breakers with a corner route from Mac Hollins. But what I think is the primary read is at the bottom. Now, Austin Hooper, especially when he's the one who's isolated, it should be an alert for a defense that's in man coverage. This guy's probably going to try to pick somebody because that's what he's there for. He's not really the man-beating type, but he's great at using and taking up space. So Austin Hooper is going to basically, and you see him, right, looking at the linebacker, like where his helmet's pointed. He is trying to look at where he's got to get to make sure he runs interference because he is just going to kind of be going over on this high-low. And then Antonio Gibson comes out of the backfield and is going to break to the corner once he gets to the goal line. But there is a problem here because Matthew Judon, who actually motioned out into the, not motioned out, but kind of walked out to the slot, starts creeping up before the snap, times it up, and ends up with a free path to Drake Maye because of the protection plan. Drake Maye appears to, I don't know if he realized this pre-snap or not, but very quickly realizes because he's not at the top of his drop, and he already is starting to run Morgan Moses against Chop Robinson. His power move gets him on the ground. That just creates even more room for Drake. And every defender, because it's man coverage, is looking at their man. So Antonio Gibson's man's occupied. Hunter Henry's man is occupied. And then this inside presence on Hunter Henry isn't going to be able to catch up to Drake Maye either because, again, he's trying to take away any type of inside breaking route. Drake Maye takes advantage. Pretty easy touchdown for the young gun. Poor Matthew Judon.
That's a tough one.
The state of New England. What am I doing? And then looking at the end zone angle, because this is very interesting. Like, why the hell is Matthew Judon completely unblocked as the fifth defensive lineman? So, first of all, we're just going to run this one time so we can get an idea of what it looks like from the end zone angle. Again, we get the check from Drake Maye. Everybody's on the same page. Good. Oh, Matthew Judon, tricky, but not fast enough. Old man. Just kidding. What is he? He's like 32 now, 33 or something like that.
Yeah.
Old. I'm just being a jerk. Anyway, so
there's Nelson saying Judon looks much slower nowadays. He did. He's much slower or the Patriots have a much faster quarterback, as Jeff says, may look faster this game for sure. But either way, no match for Matthew Judon.
How old is he? Yeah, he's 33 years old. He's actually he wasn't in the NFL originally. I think where was he at first? He played for
in college.
I could have sworn he was in another league. I'm thinking of James Harrison. My bad. Anyway, we're going to move on. So the protection plan. So first off, we see Drake Maye pointing at number 25, IDing him as the Mike. What this is going to do is tell the offensive line, hey, we've got the 4 big guys on the line of scrimmage, and the 5th guy that we're going to take into account as the protection unit is number 25. The problem is, and actually David Andrews tweeted again today, that what Tom Brady liked to do is he said, hey, if there are 5 like rushing threats, so that didn't even need to necessarily be a defensive lineman. Like if Dante Hightower is on the field and he's off the ball and you're playing the Patriots, he is a pass rush threat, right? He's not a guy who's always going to drop. If he's on the field, you need to know where he is. So in this situation, obviously, Matthew Judon is a bigger threat than is the linebacker who's probably going to be dropping into coverage. But whether this is because of Drake, whether it's because of Garrett Bradbury, I don't know who exactly made the call here, but they did not take Matthew Judon into account and treated him more like he was going to be a coverage player. So what the protection call is it looks like they slide right to the they slide to the offense's right, starting from Jared Wilson down, and they're just going to have Will Campbell one-on-one on Zach Sealer because the way they see it, first of all, you got a nose tackle right here. His alignment isn't very threatening to Jared Wilson. It'd be more threatening if 25 came down. So they're saying, okay, we basically have these 4 guys blocked up, and this guy here, Will Campbell, you're on an island. You should be fine. What they should have done is had what's known as a 5-0 call. A 5-0 call is basically man coverage for your blocking scheme where Morgan Moses would have him. Basically, it plays out pretty similarly. Morgan Moses has Chop Robinson. Mike Nwenu is going to get 91. Garrett Bradbury has the nose. And then you're going to have Jared Wilson would actually have Zach Sealer. And I think how you'd want to play this is maybe Will Campbell gives some assistance and helps on a double and then peels off if Matthew Judon does in fact rush, because as we see, this is a 5-man rush, all from the defensive lineman. So just kind of fast forwarding through the pre-snap process, like Will Campbell's doing his job. Right. He can't let Zach Sealer free. There's just no one to account for Matthew Judon. Drake Maye already starting there with his progression, sees it, outruns Matthew Judon, who is not an old man. He is only 33. But, yeah, I mean, poor guy, period, because he's clearly not happy with himself there. But that's a touchdown. Another example of Drake Maye using his legs to get himself out of a bad situation.
A good play by May. Shout out David Andrews for the help there on that one, too. I know that you guys went back and forth on the old X spot there about that. But, no, it's a great play by Drake. It's a great read by him. It's a great ability to understand the pressure in front of him and get out of it and end up scoring a touchdown. So he showed it on the ground. He showed it through the air. He showed it cerebrally on Sunday. Was this Drake Maye's best game of his career, Taylor? Are you officially putting it at the top of the list?
Yeah, I mean, he had no turnover-worthy plays. Again, it was a complete performance. He took what was there. He capitalized when there were downfield windows. When he used his legs, again, I didn't think that he made any bad decisions. I don't even think it's particularly close. He may have had statistically better games in some areas, but when you look at most numbers, they say he had his best game. And just from the eye test alone, and then from the film review, everything pretty much confirmed it. It was a very impressive performance. And one that hopefully growth is not linear, right? We always need to add that asterisk. That's very important. But if he continues along a similar trajectory, makes some mistakes along the way, but mostly reverts to this, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I'd say easily top half of the league if he keeps playing like this. But if they really start to gel and the Patriots offense becomes a real unit where you're afraid of who he's going to throw to down, just because you don't know, because different weeks are going to feature different players, this is not going to be, I think, an offense that many people want to face, even if it's just because Drake Maye is a magician who also is a very good game manager.
I think that's the thing there. He kind of paired his playmaking, game-breaking ability with the ability to understand the system, sort of adjust on the fly. Not adjust on the fly, but like how it's such a game plan offense week to week. They kind of adjusted things from last week, made it work this week, showing his ability to understand what they're trying to do within the play to play, game to game, etc. So it's exciting. It really is seeing, a Patriots quarterback be able to play football like this. We haven't seen that necessarily in quite some time here. So be excited. Number 10 is here. I think you have a quarterback, Patriots fan. So that's going to do it for our Patriots versus Dolphins game breakdowns here on Patriots Daily on the CLNS Media Network. We'll be back throughout the week getting ready for Patriots versus Steelers coming up on Sunday. Pat's at home this weekend taking on Pittsburgh, 1 p.m. on Sunday. So we'll have a mailbag for you. We'll have a preview of that game, and we'll also have our members Discord chat on Friday. So keep it locked in here on Patriots Press Pass on YouTube, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter as well, at Patriots CLNS, where we will both stream these shows and communicate to you guys what's coming next every single day. A friendly reminder that we are powered by our friends over at Prize Picks. Use code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And we're also powered by Game Time. Use the code CLNS. You get $20 off your first purchase. You can get into Patriots versus Steelers this coming Sunday for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Prices go down closer to kickoff. So if you're not into buying the tickets now, keep an eye on it throughout the week. And come hang with me, Taylor and Amit, this coming Sunday at Gillette Stadium. So again, thank you guys all so much for watching. Taylor, thank you for putting in all the hard work behind the scenes for these film breakdowns, teaching our fans, teaching me as well. It's really good insight. So as always, we appreciate it. So until next time, fans, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.